Welcome back to the orchard. Today, as you can see, I'm spraying the fence lines. I like to control the weeds so they don't deplete the battery for the electric fence. The electric fence is recharged with a solar panel, a 50 watt, and a charge controller. But if the weeds are drawing off the bottom line, a positive line, it will start to deplete the battery. So once a year I try to keep that under control. Once I get the fence line done, I'm going to go ahead and start working on a planting row. And I'll show you what I do. I need to change out my spray wand in order to do the planting row. I'll show you why and before I start to do that. So here at the orchard, I have chosen to use herbicides to assist me in controlling weed growth. Weed growth here, I have 7 acres enclosed and 660 trees currently, and I'm the one maintaining this orchard without any help. Occasionally Paul does come down and help, but mostly I take care of what's going on down here. In order to keep up, I find that an herbicide is helpful and useful in my case. It would simply be too much labor for one person to get it all done in order to control it the way I want to control it. So I know there are other choices for other people. I respect that, but this is what I've chosen to do and how I will continue for the time being unless I decide on something else. So this is a row that hasn't yet been controlled. I've got to get to this one. The first thing I will do with this row is come in with the weed eater and I will scalp it right to the ground. And you can see a lot of this has gotten out of control. Some of these get a little woody. I have a steel combi, KM131R. It's kind of a brute. It's a multi-use steel string trimmer, and it does a lot of other things we have attachments for. I use that here. It takes a thicker string so it holds up a little bit better. And I come in, and as I said, I will scalp this right to the ground. I'm going to take you over to a row that has recently been done, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This was the last row that I string trimmed. It's been a few days. As you can see, I scalp it right to the ground. This one's it's been enough days that I'm starting to get some spring back or sprout back from the weeds that are in this row. What I do, I like to scalp them down, stress the weeds, and then come through with the herbicide to kill them off. This one will be sprayed, but I'll show you a couple that were done earlier, and I'll be spraying those shortly. This row was done a while ago. You can see that it's really come back quite a bit. It's probably come back a little bit more than I would have preferred. So this is the next row that I'll be spraying with herbicide. Actually, I'll be starting on this today. I'll show you what I'll do. And this one has gotten a little taller than I wanted, but it'll respond well. And now I will run you over to a row that's just been done. So hopefully this is showing up. This row was done just before we had rain, so it was probably done about 5 days ago maybe. And this is all dying back. The trees are still good and healthy. They're not affected. I'll show you what I do to try to prevent affecting the trees at all. And this row is all trees on M111. And the bigger trees you're seeing here are Hughes Virginia crab, and there's some Harrison right after that. This is the first row of apples that I ever planted. These are all on B118, Budagovsky 118. That's the rootstock for those of you that aren't familiar. These trees that you can see in frame are Cortlands. There's 5 of these. This is probably a row that is at the height that I want it to be when I spray. Once what I've scalped back has started sprouting back like these, I will go ahead and spray the herbicide. So I should be able to get away with doing that just once a year. Occasionally, depending on what the weed is and how quickly it's coming back, I'll have to do it more than once. One of the culprits here that I'm trying to keep under control, that's why I mow so often, is Carolina horse nettle. Here's the Carolina horse nettle that I was talking about. This stuff is real fun. This stuff actually, when it's sprayed, will compartmentalize, so it'll shut off a section of its roots so that doesn't get affected, and that's able to sprout back. So this stuff's very difficult. Over here is bindweed, and that's another difficult weed to control. Don't know if we're going to get focused on this, but Japanese beetles are here. So when I spray the planting rows, I use a hood, and this is what I'm talking about, and this prevents drift. And my goal here is to get the herbicide down on the ground on the weeds and not drifting or floating off and making contact with the leaves on the trees or the trunk. I'm trying to keep all that clean and free of this herbicide. So this replaces this, and then I should be ready to go. And this has a general yellow tip in it. I've experimented with the different ones, and the yellow seems to be the best. Alright, let's see if I can show you the spray pattern. That's kind of what we don't want to do because we're trying to avoid that drift. So there's basically what the hood does. It keeps everything contained and forces it down to the ground, and hopefully prevents any drift. You can see why I like the plants to be a little shorter when I spray. So this row has gotten a little taller than I would have wanted, but we'll get it done.